I'm incredibly honored to stand here today in front of so many friends to announce 6 pieces of legislation that I'll be introducing today as part of the Welcome City agenda. This is not a package that we came to lightly. This was months of work from numerous organizations, from labor to the business community, to the public sector, to the private sector, to the nonprofit sector, to our universities. Partners who recognize that this city is built on a tradition of immigration and a city that will grow economically and culturally through a rich future of immigration. Germans, Irish, Italians, they all came here for a great opportunity for their families, for a chance to work, for a chance for educational attainment. Through that work, the labor movement was born here. Through that work, workers' rights efforts were born here as they fought for fair pay, as they fought for safer work conditions, and as they fought for equal treatment in the workplace. They went home to dinner tables across this region where dozens of languages were spoken. And so many of our families and our friends can tell stories of growing up in homes with parents and grandparents who never learned the English language and where English was not the predominant language spoken at home. Outside, a diverse group of police officers walked beats, knowing each community's languages, their holidays, their community traditions, and their cultures. Those residents came here so that their children and their grandchildren could go to college for the first time in any generation. And we as Americans supported it. It built our middle class, and it built the traditions and the culture that we so love and cherish in this country today. But today we welcome a new generation of immigrants. This city welcomes residents from Nepal to Honduras, from Rwanda to Mexico, India to Bhutan, Iraq to Afghanistan, and everywhere in between. The latest estimates that there are approximately 45 languages spoken in our Pittsburgh public school system. And so today, we're introducing legislation that reaffirms our commitment to an inclusive and welcoming community. And I do want to recognize that this was done through a partnership with so many groups, and I apologize if I leave anyone out, but I want to thank Casa San Jose, the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh, the Rukmini Foundation, the United Steelworkers, the Greater Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce, the Allegheny Intermediate Unit, the Jewish Community Center of Greater Pittsburgh, the Change Agency, the University of Pittsburgh, Northern Area Multi-Services Center, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Greater Pittsburgh, the Office of County Executive Rich Fitzgerald, who has issued a statement that I've included in your press packets, and of course, Mayor William Peduto, who's represented here today by both Rick Williams and Alexis Vargas, who participated in our process. So the legislation today, 6 pieces. First, a welcoming city resolution. This is our mission statement. This is a restatement of our core values as an inclusive and welcoming city. Second, the creation of an Office of Multicultural Affairs under the Chief of Police. This office will be in charge of building trust and forge new relationships between immigrant and refugee communities and our Pittsburgh police. They will make sure that residents feel comfortable coming forward as a victim, as a witness, or as an interested party. They will look at our own bureau and see what languages we speak, what languages, services we need, and what opportunities there are to grow the relationship. And they will be in charge of consistently reviewing and amending as needed any changes to Chief's Order 11-3 of 2014, our unbiased policing policy. 3, legislation that guarantees all city services are provided equally to all city residents, regardless of immigration status. Whether you want a building permit to file a complaint with the Human Relations Commission because you're being discriminated against, or you simply want to call 311 because of a pothole, we serve everybody in our community, regardless. 4, no company that is convicted of wage theft, and I want to be clear, convicted of wage theft, will be eligible to receive a city contract for 3 years. Our tax dollars, your tax dollars, should go to companies that treat their workers fairly and aren't convicted in a court of law of stealing from them. 5, our legislation calls on Mayor Peduto to develop a comprehensive language access plan in 2017. This will address everything from document translation, website translation, as well as access for the hearing and visually impaired with the use of Braille, sign language, and other technology. The plan should be delivered to Council by December 31st with a full budget implementation plan for 2018. And lastly, we'll do a will of council urging President-elect Trump, the United States Senate, and the U.S. Congress to preserve DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals policy implemented by President Obama that has given 740,000 children who came to this country for greater opportunity the ability to stay and advance their education and their careers here. There are over 2 million more who are eligible to take part of this incredible opportunity to live the American dream that this city was built on. I now want to have a couple people come forward and say a few words, and then I'll open it up to questions. First, I want to welcome Rabbi Ron Symons, Senior Director of Jewish Life for the Jewish Community Center of Greater Pittsburgh.
Friends, I'm so pleased that our city embraces these concepts, this legislation. Let me tell you why. 3 reasons, heading all the way back to the days of the Hebrew Bible. For some 3,000 years now, we have been saying that you should love your neighbor as yourself. This package of legislation is going to help remind us that everyone deserves the respect and the love that we expect for ourselves. Second, the Hebrew Bible teaches us that we should not stand idle while our neighbor bleeds. This package of legislation is going to help us to ensure that we don't let anyone stand on the side who is suffering, that we will stand up and help them. And third, the Hebrew Bible teaches us that there should be one set of laws for citizen and stranger alike. As we embrace everyone who calls themselves a Pittsburgher, we will engage them collectively under one uniform set of laws. So with all of this, our hope is that the act of council today will push forward the laws and the policies, the departments, the finances that are necessary to do it, but even more so, that this will begin a community conversation or even highlight a community conversation about how it is that we are required to love our neighbors as ourselves, to not stand idle while our neighbors bleed, and to have a uniform set of laws for everyone. If we at the least have that conversation, perhaps the morality, perhaps the sense of community that is so pivotal to our working together will increase in Pittsburgh. It's a glorious day for us here in Pittsburgh.
Thank you. Next, I want to please welcome to the podium our great leader of our Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh, Bishop David Zubik.
Thank you, Councilman Gilman. I'm here today building, obviously, on the Jewish tradition that everything that Jesus was about was built on reaching out to those who were, in fact, in need. Picking up any of the 4 Gospels that are so much an important part of the New Testament, we see that Jesus did, in fact, reach out to those who were marginalized. And it is a very firm conviction, not only of myself, but of our church, that we be an important part of this particular mission. I certainly congratulate Councilman Gilman for the piece of legislation that he brings forth. Obviously, I stand here today not because of a political issue, but because it's at the heart of what our Christian faith is all about. And I'm proud to fully support the legislation that Councilman Gilman is proposing today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And next, I would like to welcome Wasi Mohamed, Executive Director of the Islamic Center of Pittsburgh.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace be upon you all. I'm extremely excited to be here today. You know, this marks a significant step towards creating a more welcoming Pittsburgh. And it's not just because of this legislation, which is very important, but it's really also because of realizing that we have such a great ally in Dan Gilman, such great change makers like Betty Cruz and all the other leaders here today, and all of the community supporters that we've seen in Pittsburgh. That to me is extremely exciting. I'm excited to kind of work in that direction. And I think in the Obama speech, I remember hearing a line about this is like harming immigration and stopping it from happening isn't just about the immigrants. You know, we are bringing people to the Pittsburgh region in order to help everyone, making it more welcoming for every citizen. This is meant to help every person. You know, this isn't about one group versus another group. This is about making a better Pittsburgh. Making a welcoming Pittsburgh will help every single citizen, will help every individual, and I think I'm really excited for that, because not just because our center represents over 45 nationalities, but because all of those people who are represented actually contribute very much to the Pittsburgh community and help all the citizens within it. So I'm very excited for this. I'm excited to move forward with everyone in this room and everybody listening. So thank you so much for having me. Assalamu alaikum.
And lastly, I'd ask Betty Cruz to come give a few remarks. Betty is the Executive Director of the Change Agency, pushing immigration and a welcoming city agenda countywide.
Good morning. Thank you, Councilman. Thank you so much for your leadership. My name is Betty Cruz, as the Councilman said, and I lead an organization called Change Agency, and I have the great privilege to get to push forward a community-designed immigrant integration strategy across our county. I'm humbled to stand here in front of you all representing our community, representing our immigrants, our Latino, our refugee community, and the strength that they bring to our city every single day and to our region. On their behalf, I want to thank you for taking the time to actually listen to the community and to not just pass forward policy for the community, but really to design policy with the community. I think there's some great work here for the city of Pittsburgh as it relates to doubling down on the city's commitment to being more welcoming, but I'm also really excited about what this can mean for our region. I think there's a model here that municipalities across Allegheny County can pull from and build on, so that we are building a more welcoming region and are really lifting up that message. It's one thing to say that we're welcoming, but what the councilman is doing here today is putting action behind those words. Doubling down on welcoming is what this is all about, and it's encouraging to have local policymakers recognize that through legislative action, that when even one community member is targeted or feels unwelcome, it should concern all of us. Today's effort makes me so proud. It makes me proud as a daughter of immigrants, it makes me proud as a Latina, and it makes me proud as a Pittsburgher. Thank you.
I do want to also recognize, and I apologize if I skip one, but we have been joined by the Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh United, SEIU 32BJ, as well as SEIU Healthcare Pennsylvania. I appreciate all those organizations for their support. And I just want to close before I open up to questions, really doubling down on what Betty said and how I started. We took months working together, not jumping at passing legislation that caught media catchphrases or the 6 o'clock news, but legislation by listening to people on the street, listening to people in our community who have suffered, listening to the nonprofit organizations that every day go out and work with our most vulnerable community members, listening to our faith leaders, not only about our calling as people of faith, but also what they hear in their churches and in their mosques and in their synagogues every single day from people in our community who are being impacted by wage theft or impacted by bias in our community or impacted in their ability to get a job, enroll their child in school, receive basic services from their government. And this legislation doubled down on welcoming. It made it clear that Pittsburgh is a welcoming city, and we are going to pass legislation that impacts people's lives, not grabs headlines. And that is why I'm so proud to sponsor these 6 pieces and so proud to have worked with these amazing community groups and leaders on making Pittsburgh a more welcoming city. And with that, I certainly happy to take any questions from anyone in